The British Parliament debated a number of proposals today on how to proceed with regard to leaving the European Union. In the end, they voted to authorize the Prime Minister to go back to the European Union to try to get a better deal. Special correspondent Ryan Chilcote is in London and has our report.
Another raucous Brexit debate in the British Parliament. This time, up for consideration, two competing paths for the United Kingdom's withdrawal from the European Union. It came exactly 2 months before Britain has to leave the EU, and 2 weeks after Prime Minister Theresa May's plan suffered the worst parliamentary defeat in British history. Since then, members from all sides have been offering ideas. Today, they voted on more than half a dozen proposals.
I believe that we are within reach of a deal that this House can stand behind. But the days ahead are crucial.
The first major proposal today, keep the Prime Minister in charge of the process, but send her back to the EU to renegotiate better terms. The second alternative, give May another month to secure a deal to Parliament's liking. Failing that, turn the future of Brexit over to Parliament and extend the deadline, something she says would be a betrayal.
I am not prepared to stand still and put at risk either the Brexit the people of this country voted for or the economic success the people of this country have worked so hard to secure.
May has refused to step aside but acknowledged that Parliament must have more say in the final deal. The first plan, keeping May in charge of Brexit, calls for her to seek a better agreement from the EU on what is called the Irish backstop. Right now, Northern Ireland, which is part of the United Kingdom and still part of the European Union, and the Republic of Ireland, also part of the EU, have no land border, so cars and goods can cross easily. May's original Brexit plan would have kept that border open when the UK leaves the EU, as it has been ever since the Good Friday Agreement that brought an end to the Troubles in Ireland 20 years ago. But some conservative politicians have rejected that part of the agreement focused on the border, saying it could leave Britain subject to European Union trade rules indefinitely. In an effort to win over those conservatives today, May pledged to do something she has up to now said will never work.
Negotiating such a change will not be easy, but I believe that with a mandate from this House, and supported by the Attorney General, the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster and the Secretary of State for exiting the European Union, I can secure such a change in advance of our departure from the EU.
The European Union has refused to budge on the backstop. Less than an hour after May's comments today, EU officials shot it down once again.
Leave me alone!
Still, there is growing concern that if Britain crashes out of the EU on March 29 without a formal agreement, food shortages, plummeting house prices, and economic distress could follow. That's why some lawmakers, including opposition and Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn, are trying to force May's government to delay Britain's exit from the EU.
Labour will today back amendments that attempt to rule out this government's reckless option of allowing the UK to crash out without a deal. Everyone bar the Prime Minister accepts that this would be disastrous.
Delaying Brexit would mean extending the so-called Article 50 that triggered the withdrawal process. But Corbyn rebuffed efforts from some in his own party to call for a second Brexit referendum.
The ayes to the right, 317. The noes to the left, 301. So the ayes have it.
Against all odds, the Prime Minister succeeded in mustering the support she needed for the idea of her going back to the EU to renegotiate the deal. It's her first win in a long while. She'll be hoping the EU's insistence that it wouldn't negotiate anymore was just a bluff.
So success today for the Prime Minister, but definitely not an unqualified success, because at the end of the day, she has to get the European Union to agree to change a deal that she already agreed to. Judy?
So, Ryan, what are the prospects then of the EU being willing to renegotiate, and what are her prospects of getting a better deal for leaving the EU?
Well, listen, if you look to their, listen to their rhetoric, if you listen to the EU's rhetoric, the prospects are very dim. They have been very clear, even after this vote, in saying that there will be no change to the deal. She agreed to it. They agreed to it. It's done as far as they're concerned. And remember, we're talking about 27 countries on the other side of the negotiating table. So it's difficult to see how that could change. But what she will be betting on is that when she goes back, she'll say, look, I finally showed you that I can get a majority in the parliament for a deal. We can agree amongst ourselves on something, and that's the deal that we have already agreed with you. If you agree to change this one little thing, she will describe it as, and that's the Irish backstop. But again, they've said no change to that. She's just hoping that, you know, they're bluffing.
So, Ryan, what happens if she doesn't get a better deal? Then what?
Well, if she doesn't get a better deal, then things get complicated. She will come back to the Houses of Parliament on February the 13th. That's what she's talking about now, is coming back for another meaningful vote where they will vote on whatever she has, whether it was the old deal or a slightly tweaked deal with some maybe declarations on the side of it, but without any legal changes to it, and see if she can get that through. Of course, you know, she is unlikely to get it through, and then she'll have to negotiate again with all the members of the parliament. And then we'll be looking at other options, including running down the clock closer to March the 29th, when no matter what, the UK, as things stand now, has to leave the European Union. And
very quickly, Ryan, prospects for another referendum in the UK on this?
Very interesting. Doesn't seem to be the appetite for that right now. There was an initiative today that was voted on in the Houses of Parliament, and the parliamentarians said, no, that's not something we want to consider right now. I think the most likely thing is that if she doesn't have a deal by March the 29th, you could start to see some changes in the Parliament trying to either extend the UK's relationship with the EU so they can continue to negotiate, or maybe even put it back to the people for a vote, but not right now. Right now, it's basically Theresa May lives another day to continue her fight.
Ryan Chilcote reporting for us from the Parliament. Thank you, Ryan.